won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone. Wait, no. And I won't breathe the brazen air when I'm gone. And I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. I won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. Wow. And the next verse is, and I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone. I can't even suffer from my pain when I'm gone. Can't say who's to praise or who's to blame when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. My days will be dances of delight when I'm gone. And I can't question how or who is wrong or right when I'm gone. Can't add my name into the fight when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be laughing at the lies when I'm gone. Can't question how or when or why when I'm gone. I can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. Well, there's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone. I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. And you won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. It's hard to hear my guitar and my hand works on instinct. It doesn't, I don't know what happens. Anyway, sorry Phil, but I tried. Oh yeah. Have we had enough of war yet? When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hooray. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hooray. Oh, the men will sing and the boys will shout and the ladies, they will all come out. And we'll all be gay when Johnny comes marching home. I can't hear my guitar. Oh God, with your drums and guns and guns and drums, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, hurroo, hurroo. With your guns and drums and drums and guns, the enemy nearly slew you. Oh Johnny dear, you look so queer, Johnny, I hardly knew you. Well, where are your eyes that were so mild, hurroo, hurroo. Where are your eyes that were so mild, hurroo, hurroo. Where are your eyes that were so mild, that looked upon the world and smiled? And why did you run from me and the child, Johnny, I hardly knew you. And where are your legs that used to run, hurroo, hurroo? Where are your legs that used to run, hurroo, hurroo? where your legs that used to run before you went to carry a gun. I fear your dancing days are done, Johnny, I hardly knew you. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, haroo, haroo. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, haroo, haroo. You haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, you're an eyeless, boneless, chickenless egg. You'll have to be put with a bowl to beg, Johnny, I hardly knew you. But Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hooray. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hooray. Well, the man will sing and the boys will shout, and the ladies, they will all come out. Yeah, right. And we'll all be gay when Johnny comes marching home. And it still goes on. What the heck? Do we just never evolve? I guess not. Oh, if you can stand another along that theme, this is another one of my favorites. I learned this at the Kent Folk Festival many years back. But we had revolutions there were always the troubles going on in Ireland, or now, I mean, you got Africa stood up, and everywhere there's always these little pockets of rebellion, and then something grows, and then it piddles out. But we never seem to get past this certain point, and we keep regressing and then starting over again. But this could apply anytime. However, it was about the Irish. We knew we'd face the power that comes from money when we marched against the Empire's mighty schemes. They were armed with special powers and legislation, while we were armed with youth and foolish dreams. But it seemed so right very all that summer, when we took them on and built our barricade. We were an army dressed in faded jeans and sandals. We're too young and full of pride to be afraid. And we believed in things like justice, truth, and freedom. We believed we had the right to liberty. And we believed we could build a new tomorrow. We grew up fast, young Peter Pan. But we soon learned the truth of street rebellion as our cities crumble around us stone by stone. We were betrayed by those who promised they would help us. Against tanks and troops and guns we stood alone. And soon no one spoke justice, truth, or freedom. And soon no one gave one damn for liberty. And all we hoped was that we might go on surviving. Grow past young Peter Pan. Well, the Empire dealt us death and fear and prison. There's no mercy from that military machine. And our street youth swapped their faded jeans and sandals for hoods and guns with loaded magazines. And now the years have wrought their cruel retribution. And our brothers and our sisters bear the pain as both both sides strive for violent solutions, and the politicians play their deadly game. And among the dead lie justice, truth, and freedom. And among the dead lie hope and liberty. But if you care enough about bright new tomorrow, cheer, join Peter Pan.
I'm gonna try this and on a funny note. I don't know what Chris is gonna do.
Little yellow belly sapsuckers, little chicken livered udder suckers, little quagmire mud muckers, they really drive me up a wall. They always follow you where you roam and try to suck you out of house and home until they conjure from the mouth of bone. They really drive you up a wall. Little self-indulgent duty duckers, non-contributing bloodsuckers. They make me wanna be an upchucker. They really drive me up a wall. So my mantra now is hidey-ho, release my soul and let me go. Yucca-mucka-hucka, hidey-ho, you really drive me up a wall. Little self-centered muck rockers, sucking up the hard-working muckers. Little straddling the road pack truckers, they really drive me up the wall. So my mantra now is hidey-ho, release my soul and let me go. Yucca-mucka-hucka, hidey-ho, you really drive me up the wall. Little yellow belly sapsuckers, little chicken livered udder suckers, little quagmire mud fuckers, you really drive me up a wall. Thank you very much. See you next year. And God, I love the ComFest.
Check, check, check.
Harvey.
Hello, 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 hello. No nukes, everybody. Hi there, how are you? We are here at the Solar Stage. Folks in the back, if you'll sit down, please. We're going to have a great presentation from Vina Colley and Terry Smith. They are from Press, they're surrounding the Portsmouth and Richmond facility, a couple hours south of here. One of the most notorious radioactive industrial facilities in the world. It has been used to enrich uranium. Thankfully, the nuclear industry is on its way. They're trying to make a relapse. We call it the nuclear relapse. They call it a renaissance. We call it the relapse. But Terry and Vina are two of the nation's great activists. Vina's been at it for 20 years or more. Terry, of course, is only 19, so she hasn't been at it that long. Sorry about that. They are tremendously effective, powerful, articulate activists. Vina worked at the facility, has tremendously difficult and important stories to tell. These two folks have made a tremendous impact on the environment here in Ohio and on the situation worldwide with nuclear power. This is a very important facility that we need to keep shut. And they are right in the forefront of doing just that. So we owe them a great deal of thanks, and they have a tremendous amount of information that's extremely important to share with us. So if you'll give them your undivided attention, you'll come out of here with something really important and worthwhile. And we need your help to keep this goddamn plant shut. And they're going to tell you how to do it. So thank you very much. And here's Vina.
Thank you, Harvey. I'm nowhere as famous as Harvey Walter yet. My name is Vina Colley, and I am president of the Portsmouth Pipeline Residents for Environmental Safety and Security. And I also co-chair and co-founded National Nuclear Workers for Justice. I also worked at the plant as an electrician. I was in every building on plant side. At no time was I ever told to wear any protection, wear respirators, or anything. They just put us on jobs and they never told us what we were working at. These are the guys who started the safety at the plant, and they all died of cancer. At Piketon, we highly enriched uranium from 1954 until 2000 for weapons-grade material. It wasn't for nuclear power plants. We have depleted uranium cylinders on the site. There's over 25,000 depleted uranium cylinders, and in this yard where these cylinders are, had the highest exposures of neutrons, and they have not ever told the workers that they were being exposed to neutron exposures. In 1978, we dropped a cylinder that was compared to 3 Mile Island. It lost over 21,000 pounds of uranium hexafluorides to the atmosphere, to the water. My friend Owen Thompson, who died of a brain tumor at age 42, and I have his picture right over here where it says employee blames brain tumor on the nuclear plant. He said he buried plutonium 100 feet deep with machine gun guard. And he died of a brain tumor, and he's very sadly missed, and I told him I wouldn't let people forget him. Him and I went to the first community meeting in 1989. And when we got there, they wanted us to be president of this community group that was already formed. And him and I did the best that we could do, and I'm still there. It's hard to keep people active in it because the company, they go to the meetings and they terrorize the people and they threaten them. I've been fighting 20-some plus years. I've also been fighting for my compensation for 20 plus years. In 1999, I found documents that said that the Piketon site had plutonium. Well, the government, I got a call from someone down in Paducah, and the Paducah plant told me, we're getting ready to break this story, and I said, what about? And they said, what do you got on Piketon? I said, well, why you got on Paducah? And they said, we got plutonium. And I said, well, we do too. I said, we had it in the oxide conversion facility. We also shipped it in from West Valley, New York, it was called, I think it was West Valley, New York was the name of the plant. And that plant thought they were taking care of uranium, but they were extracting plutonium and didn't know it. And they sent it to Piketon. Also, we got reactor tails from Paducah and Hanford and Savannah River. And when the story broke, it helped bring in the compensation bill, which is called the Energy Employees Compensation Act, which is not a really good bill, but it is there, and it did get some workers paid their cancer. And the rest of us have still been fighting it for 8 years. My records have been locked up twice. I had to get them unlocked. One of my caseworkers who okayed all my illnesses got fired. I'm going through more caseworkers. I don't only have to fight the Department of Labor. I'm fighting the state of Ohio with state workers' compensation. Even though they admitted that I had toxic chemical and radiation exposures, they've tried to hide my radiation exposures. So I've been doing this without any money. I've refinanced my home 3 times. I've never been too far to talk when I go wherever I have to go to talk. And today on that stage, I was really nervous up on top of that big stage. I've never been on a big stage. But we're converting this depleted uranium. They got a conversion plant, and there's going to be a lot of waste. They used to store waste in the buildings that we were working in. All of our drains and all of our clothes that are washed, that are contaminated, they all go to this little pipe right here. This pipe right here goes into the Cider River, which goes into the Ohio River. All of their cooling towers, the chromium, the hexavalent chromium, the fluorides. We release fluorides at the plant that double the standards in Oak Ridge and Paducah, but Ohio doesn't have a standard for fluorides, and we double the standards here in Ohio. So somebody needs to get on our legislators and do something about this fluoride. Also, in 1957, the state of Ohio Health Department knew that workers were dying. 1957, 5 workers from the plant were sent to 5 different hospitals dying of 5 different illnesses. But yet, the state of Ohio and the health department turned their backs. They still turn their backs on the community of Piketon. This is Owen Thompson. And this is Mike Talla, and Owen and myself, and we broke the story. Listen to our story. It's been hard to get stories out. The media don't want to print the story. We have the highest rate of cancer in the nation in Scioto County. 60% of the workers live in Scioto County. There's been so many releases I can't even sit here and tell you. When I was working in the buildings, there was releases every day. In 85, I was in 3 releases in one day and I wasn't told. I've been really sick, and a lot of people tell me, they say, you don't look sick, and I say, well, I don't get up every morning and try to look sick, but I am sick of the nuclear plant, and I don't have to look sick to be sick of that plant. I've had 7 tumors, a total hysterectomy, I have neuropathy, I have some type of memory dysfunction. I have an immune system deficiency that I had to take gamma glomus. This is the community kids here on this one. This little boy named Ross, he had 15 tumors inside of him. He was 11 years old. They missed 5 of the tumors, and he finally died of cancer. This little boy, Jamie, he was born with this on his leg, and they took it off, and he also had an operable brain tumor. It's just such a horrible story. You know, I just can't tell you much. I want to cry every time I listen to them. People call me all the time and they're sick and they want to know what I can do for them. I can help myself, but I try to tell them what I'm doing and maybe they can do something even better. This is just a couple stories here, and you can go to every home in Pike County. Once ATSDR came in, they had Agency for Toxic Substance and Disease Registry. I forgot those acronyms. They came in to do a study because the people of Pike County didn't want them to come. Well, they looked at a couple of illnesses, and they declared that Pike County's citizens didn't have any problems. And we had a paper 300 people come to that meeting, and over 600 or over 260 some people signed that they had miscarriages and cancer and tumors and knots and bloody noses. But ATSDR found one thing that they looked at. And then the community residents have filed a lawsuit within the 6-mile air radius of that plant, which is this way. It doesn't mean just one side of that plant's getting contaminated. On the east side of that plant, where there is 340 acres that they want to sell to the community, has plutonium in it. This plant just doesn't care. So I've even got a document that says 5 miles from the plant, the pine needles have radioactivity in it. So the citizens filed a lawsuit and Judge Carey in Columbus certified it. Then it's set in the courts for 10 years. Now it's sitting, time goes by fast, and now it's sitting in Dayton court, and the judge there decided he's going to hear it, but he doesn't want to hear anything about radiation. They can't talk about the chemicals in that plant without talking about radiation, because when I was an electrician, I used trichloroethylene and I worked in confined spaces with no protection equipment. When we got done cleaning down uranium, plutonium, technetium-99, neptunium, PCB oil, when we got through with all this stuff, we dumped it down the drains. And where did it go? It went to that creek. It went to the Cider River, to the Ohio River, to the Mississippi. So we're all affected. That plant's 100 miles from here. But there's been documents that I've seen in some of the plants that it travels so far. So, we are killing our future generation. And it's really sad when you go down. I've seen babies that were born like children of Chernobyl. By the way, I was in Russia. I was there for 2 weeks, and I met some of the victims of Chernobyl, and they made me an honorary member of the victims of Chernobyl, and it was quite an honor. Maybe somebody else would like to talk.
Petition online. It's really easy to find. It's on nnwj.com, National Nuclear Workers for Justice, and we're looking for more signatures. One of the big problems with this plant is that it's run by the Department of Energy, and they pretty much, as everybody probably here knows, our government pretty much has its, lockdown on, like, all of our politicians, all of the corporations are all intertwined, and it's like the Department of Energy, it's the same. Okay, for example, when all the workers got together and got upset in 1999 and rallied Congress came out with a bill called the EEOICPA to compensate all these victims of these nuclear weapons plants. And what happened is they used Department of Energy, former Department of Energy contractors and managers to write the bill for the workers' comp, and of course they made it as convoluted and complicated as possible. So only at this point, since 1999 is when the bill was passed, 2008, only 15% of the workers have been compensated, and out of everybody who's tried, who's applied, these are people, everybody that has applied, 15% have been compensated because they have made it so difficult. Did you want to talk about some of the difficulties that you have with your case right now?
Thank you, Terry. We have about 15 minutes, and I'm going to give an overview real quick, and then we'll come back and you can talk about your workers' comp. So, I'm not sure how many of you are aware. Tim, is this video proper? Okay. So, the uranium enrichment facility in Portsmouth, it fits into a larger picture of the whole nuclear power situation. We have 104 nuclear plants in the United States. they all operate on enriched uranium, and the way uranium is enriched, first it's taken out of the ground, it's mined, and it's called yellow cake when it comes up, and it's just basically uranium ore, and they grind it. And I'm doing this, I'm telling you this because there's a myth that's perpetrated by the nuclear power industry that nuclear power doesn't affect global warming. Now, it's a pile of horseshit, basically. It's a big lie. I'm going to tell you exactly why in terms of the fuel chain and where Portsmouth fits in. Obviously, they have to make fuel for a nuclear power plant. The first thing they do is they mine uranium. In the United States, most of the uranium has been mined on Indian land, Native American land. They've used Native Americans to go into these mines. When they're in the mines, they breathe radon gas, which comes off from the uranium. It goes into the lungs and causes lung cancer because it emits alpha particles, which are large, very deadly particles of radiation. The cancer rate among uranium miners in the Navajo and Hopi tribes and the other tribes of the West is astronomical. We've known this for decades. These people have been dying en masse for a long, long time. So they get the uranium ore out of the mines, and then they take it and they mill it. They turn the ore basically into sand. And these sands, when they come out of the plant, are called tailings. And in Colorado and in New Mexico, there are literally billions of tons of uranium tailings. These tailings emit large quantities of radon gas into the atmosphere, and they go all over the world. And they are sitting there, these tailings piles, they're enormous tailing piles, forever. They're extremely radioactive, and they even let kids play on them, even though they're radioactive, and they're, of course, mostly on Indian land. Then, when they take the sand, and they treat it with very, very toxic chemicals, including sulfuric acid and other acids, and when they get done with it, they wind up with very large ponds of extremely acid liquid. You cannot, they call it liquor, you cannot swim in these ponds. You put your foot in this pond, you will retract with the lack of a foot, basically. It's that toxic, and there are lots and lots of chemicals there that you don't even want to hear about. So they take what they've treated, which is called yellow cake, and they bring it to a place like Portsmouth. There were at one time 3 large enrichment plants in the United States: Portsmouth, Oak Ridge, and Paducah. Paducah, Kentucky, and Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Paducah is still open. Oak Ridge and Portsmouth, thankfully, are shut. But we're not sure if they're actually shut. We think they're still doing enrichment there. And there's a whole lot of, secrecy about what they're doing there. On the one hand, they're talking about closing it forever. On the other hand, they're talking about opening it up. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to stop the building of new nuclear plants. Because if they start building new nuclear plants, they're going to come back to Portsmouth, fire up that goddamn thing, and we're going to have more victims with more stories to tell about, like Owen Thompson and these poor children, and Vina, about the radiation damage that the government will never get to. So at Portsmouth, Paducah, and Oak Ridge, the uranium is enriched. It's a very, very intensive process in terms of the electricity that's consumed. And in fact, the enrichment process in the United States consumes as much electricity as the city of Cleveland. It's an enormous sink. And these plants, these enrichment plants, have been powered by coal-fired generators. So when they say that the nuclear power plants don't emit any greenhouse gases, they completely omit the mention of the enrichment process, which emits huge quantities of greenhouse gases. And then, of course, the fuel comes down into little pellets, and they take them to the nuclear plants like Perry and Davis-Besse, and they operate the reactors. And so, at this point, hey guys, at this point, the Portsmouth plant is right smack in the middle of the whole debate about whether they're going to build new nuclear plants. And if they do build new nuclear plants, well, like I say, we're going to have more victims. So Vina, can you tell us, you were harmed in the plant, and can you tell us the story of how you were harmed and what you've gone through? We have about 10 or 15 more minutes, okay?
I'd like to also also mention about the centrifuge. We're getting ready to start up an American centrifuge at the piping plant. We don't want any in Iran that we're going to do under piping. It's already started in testing down there. And then my experts from Russia came in and they found radium-226 in the cricks coming from the plant. Then he wasn't able to come back to finish his study, so Norm Busky came back and started to finish the study up, and there is radium-226 coming from the crick. If we have it, there's a possibility that we could be making many nukes. We don't know because they withhold everything from the plant. I have uranium-235 in my lungs. I've just been diagnosed with 55% of less lung capacity, and I have an airway disease. All the workers that I work with all have colon cancer, lung cancer. Most of them are all dying. I guess I can consider I'm pretty lucky, and I have chronic bronchitis. There's days that I can't get out of bed. There's days that I could sleep for 3 months, or I have thyroid problems. I have so many problems I can't remember them all. I still feel a little lucky because I can still talk about that plant and what it's doing. But the compensation bill is not a really good bill, but if you know anyone at all, contractors, anyone who worked at any of the nuclear facilities in the whole world, have them to contact someone at the Energy Employees Compensation Act, or contact me through that webpage, nnwj.com, and we will direct you to where you have to go. The bill, they're paying $150,000 if you're lucky enough to have one of the 21 cancers. Piken is a special cohort. Piken also doubled the Superfund list, but never was put in the Superfund list. So none of the workers, not even the community, no one knows that is one of the second most, if not the worst plant in the whole United States. And it's downplayed. We don't get no media coverage. The media stays away from us. If a reporter comes and gets a story out, and that reporter, he's guaranteed not to be there the next day to write another story. It's one of the most horrible stories in the whole world that you've ever heard, if you ever get to hear it. The Dayton Daily News did come and do a big story, and I tried to get some of the copies of the paper, and they said they've all disappeared. Someone destroyed them, but I think you can get it online. I just brain tumor, colon cancer, and the government gave one of my coworkers 20% because he got colon cancer for his impairment rating. It's a pretty sad story. If you know anyone who's sick, any relatives, contractors, anyone, please get in contact and get your name on the list.
Okay, do you any have questions? We have 7 minutes left. Anybody have questions? Yes, come up, because nobody will be able to hear you. What's that? What's the website again, Terry? nnwj.com. What's that stand for?
National Nuclear Workers for Justice. And I want to let you know our website got hacked 3 times last month. We had a memorial for the workers. We're trying to get the government to recognize the dead workers that have died in the plant, not only at Piken, but nationally, because, you know, they forget about these workers that are dying, and they continue to want to put more nuclear stuff at Piken. They don't care about the workers because that was in the past, and they say we're going to do better tomorrow. I'm telling you now, there is no cleaner, safe nuclear energy. I don't care what they tell you. It's not safe. No way. They say we learned our lessons from the past. They've not learned anything.
That's one thing, you know, they talk about 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. We've seen 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. What you don't see is all the death and destruction that occurs on the way to 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. People die even before a nuclear plant has an accident. People die in the mines, people die in the enrichment facilities, and then in the transportation of the fuel. And then, of course, at the other end, we have no idea what to do with the nuclear waste. So this is a key piece of the puzzle. Does anyone else have a question? Yes. What else can you do? This lady's from Lucasville, which is nearby.
You can join our organization
point is that these good people have had an impact. It's a much different situation down there than it would have been had Vina and Terry and some of the other people not got active.
Are there hearings coming up, or is there any proposed legislation or opposition to proposed legislation that people can in Columbus, where the state capital is, if that's anything's coming up there, that they can attend hearings or something?
My name is Lauren. I actually work for the National Wildlife Federation on a campaign to confront climate change. And there's going to be a rally at the State House on September 13th about green jobs. And we're drafting up a resolution right now for the governor and other legislators in the state to say we're not going to be a red state, we're a blue state, we're going to be a green state. So it doesn't what we're talking about. And it's actually in www.org/Ohio if you're interested. But they're trying to get the regulations talking about it. We need a change, but the changes that are making over there, there's no ability to and the biggest piece of climate legislation to kind of try to put caps and raise these kind of things, human water, didn't make the next level of the House. It failed by, I want to say, 7 votes. Both senators in the state, Jerry Brown and George Bush, vetoed it. So what we can do is we can keep putting pressure on these people that we care. And we've got some information as we kind of get at the end of the speech, but there are things happening, and it's going to become more permanent, but I would just watch out for the jobs and
Anyone, if you want to talk to Vina and Terry, and what's your name? Lauren, and anyone else who's organizing, once we're done with this session and the music starts, we'll go right in this tent here. There's a table there, and we can meet and talk and get together. Even if just 1 or 2 of you comes out and gets active, it's worth the whole deal. Because as we know, 1 activist, 2 activists can make a world of difference. Let's take one more question. And
I was wondering if I could address Archwell. My friend Brent Archwell
they have talk about global warming. They have a free release program for Freon, which destroys the ozone layer, and these guys can pretty much do whatever the hell they want unless we stop them. So Tim, why don't you jump in here? We will meet in this tent right over there as soon as we're done.
Yes, I want to thank Vina and Terry for coming over here to Columbus. This is how quickly things change. When Vina drove into this parking lot over here to do this event, she has a bumper sticker on her car that says Ted Strickland government. This is the way things change. Ted Strickland went to Franklin and said he was going to clean the facility. After he got elected, he changed his mind. That's what we need to work on. A governor can do something. We need to tell the governor that there's no way, number one, that you can mine uranium safely. There's no way that you can process it safely. There's no way that you can use it as fuel safely. And there's no way that you can actually dispose of the residual of the waste. It's got a 10,000-year life. We need to go solar. We need to go wind. That's the direction we need to go. We don't need to go to these old industries. Like Harvey talks about coal, oil, gas, and nukes. No nukes. That's where we want to go right now. That should be our decision. There's no alternative to it. We need to move a complete different direction. So please, we're going to be right over here in the tent. We'd love to talk to you. We want your email addresses. And we got a great group coming up here as soon as we walk out. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.